As an NBA fan, I was pretty bummed to hear that Klay Thompson will not be coming back to Golden State, officially ending the Splash Brother duo between him and Steph Curry, and the dynamic trio between him, Curry, and Draymond Green. So definitely a weird feeling to see him and Steph Curry now being broken up, with Klay Thompson now being in Dallas and Steph Curry and Draymond still being in Golden State. But with that being said, I think many people gave up on them a bit too quickly. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and they actually reloaded rather than rebuilt. And in my opinion, they're probably a lot better than many think. I mean, they're currently projected to finish with a record of only 42-40 according to ESPN, which would put them outside the playoff, let alone the play-in tournament picture at 12th place in the Western Conference. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're going to win an NBA championship, though I'm sure many Golden State fans would love to hear that and see that. But again, I think many people are underrating them a bit. And don't overreact to preseason, but they are currently undefeated. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. And I think the Warriors are doing completely fine without Klay Thompson, even from the three-point line too. Right now, they're shooting 40.5% from beyond the arc, currently ranking second of any team during preseason, and not to mention they are attempting 43.3 of them per game, ranking 7th during preseason, but would have been number 1 in the entire NBA last season. And not only that, but they have 9 different guys that are shooting over 35% from 3 during preseason, and then 7 that are shooting over 40%. And the most impressive part about that is that Steph Curry is not even one of them. They have 9 different guys, Draymond Green included, but Steph Curry is not one of them, and that's a very good outlook for their 3-point shooting. And with that in mind, who's standing out for their team during preseason? And well, number 1 would have to be Buddy Hield, a new addition for their team and kind of the Klay Thompson replacement in many ways. No, definitely not a 1-for-1 replacement, but he kind of can replicate the 3-point shooting, movement shooting, and being the off-ball threat alongside Steph Curry. And up until this point, he has been averaging 12.3 points per game in only about 17 minutes per game, 3 made 3-point shots per game on 60% shooting from the field, 59.1% for 3, and a plus 25 plus-minus rating during 4 games. And during his second game, he went 8 for 9 from the field, nearly perfect, and only missed 1 shot overall, and having 22 points to go along with it. Now, unfortunately not his team debut with their team, but a very good early impression nonetheless. And again, kind of is replicating the player number 2, definitely a relatively unknown player, but one that has really stood out in my opinion, with that being Lindy Waters. Many fans probably don't even know him or where he came from, but up until this point has spent all 3 years of his NBA career with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and kind of has a limited opportunity up until this point too, but now he might finally get it. Currently averaging 11 points per game in only about 14 minutes per game, shooting 52.9% from the field, 53.3% from 3, and playing solid defense while doing it, which they definitely do need on the wing. And at that, definitely is a 3-and-D wing for them, or maybe could be. Again, kind of limited playing time, so maybe hasn't shown enough to really prove it, but has shown to be a good defender at times, a good 3-point shooter with a quick trigger, and a guy that would seem to fit within the rotation, being that off-ball threat on offense that can both catch and shoot and occasionally create for himself too. And then being a solid defender to not get played off the court, he would appear to be a really good fitting player for that classic Golden State wing player role. And I'm really a fan of Lindy Waters. He plays hard on defense, can contribute on offense, and again, simply hasn't really gotten the opportunity to show it up until this point. Only a limited one, but I think this might finally be his mini breakout season. Moving on though, for standout number 3, I think this would have to be Moses Moody, a young player for their team that many thought would break out during the last season or maybe even the one before that, but now it might finally be happening. He's currently leading their team in scoring throughout preseason, averaging 14.5 points per game and only 20.8 minutes per game, or in other words, about 25 points per game per 36-minute average. And up until this point, probably the most complimented role player on their team throughout training camp, received compliments from Steve Kerr, other guys on the team along with various reporters and analysts, so definitely highly recommended, highly touted throughout training camp, and has shown it throughout preseason too. And many believe that he's finally ready to become a regular member of the rotation. Now he'll obviously have to prove it to Steve Kerr, who up until this point really hasn't fully trusted Moody, but now that might finally be changing. He's been playing solid defense, has taken another leap offensively, and all around appears to be a lot more well-rounded than prior years. so maybe this may finally be the year for Moses Moody. After him though, his counterpart Jonathan Kuminga appears to have taken another leap himself, currently averaging 13.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, and shooting over 50% from the field and 3-point line throughout preseason. Everything has really slowed down for the guy and almost seems easy for him on offense too. Is virtually more athletic than probably any player on the court almost always, and then can get to his spots on the court nearly at will. He's definitely looking like a much more complete player, and obviously has taken another leap throughout the past couple of years now, whether it be offensively, defensively, or simply being able to read the court better. He's taken that next leap and will be given every opportunity to show it too. Moving on though, for our fifth and final standout, I think I gotta mention DeAnthony Melton, another new addition to their team, and although not a star player by any means or anywhere close to it, a very good 3-and-D guard for their team. Unfortunately got hurt last season and missed the majority of it, but throughout the past couple of years now, he has really taken that leap into becoming a really solid 3-and-D guard and a productive role player within a rotation. Currently averaging about 10.3 points per game in about 16 minutes per game, about 3 rebounds, and shooting over 35% from 3. Can be that high volume 3-point shooter surprisingly, but can do both that and be a pest on defense, and that kind of role player is what Golden State tends to need within the rotation. And in my opinion, he and Gary Payton II could be a dynamic defensive duo off the bench too. Two defensive pests that love to get up in your face and defend. They could really wreak havoc and add another layer to the rotation, which really could go underrated. Overall though, I think Golden State appears to have become a bit underrated following the loss of Klay Thompson. Now I don't blame you if you don't have them in your top 5 or anything like that, but I think they had a quietly good offseason and are showing some really good early team chemistry. It's obviously incredibly difficult to replace a guy like Klay Thompson. Even with the declining version that he was last season, he was still a very good player for them and a really good 3-point shooter. I don't think they necessarily replaced him, quote unquote, but they did a very good job rebuilding or revamping their team after they lost him. And in my opinion, it's turning out and looking really good so far. And if Steph Curry remains at an MVP level, which he should, Draymond Green remains an All-NBA defender, Jonathan Kuminga takes another leap, and even if they could get back a healthy and committed Andrew Wiggins, I think they could be a dangerous, underrated threat in the Western Conference, and potentially a dark horse too. With that being said though, what do you guys think? How do you feel about Golden State so far and what they have shown throughout preseason? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and turn on notifications so you never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.